Welcome to Tatamasi, Danesh here. So this is another video on electrostatics. So in this video, we are discussing a previously asked JEE question. So here we are discussing a question which is asked in 2018 mains, JEE mains. So these JEE mains, these exams now becomes very important because after analyzing the IT trend, how it is going. So after these technologies, machine learning, artificial intelligence, data science, all these technologies comes, the importance of exams like JEE or IITs, all these things, it's became very important. So please work hard and prepare for these exams. And now we are discussing a question on previously asked question in JEE mains. It's asked in 2018. So let me read the question. The question is, two identical conducting spheres A and B carry equal charge. They are separated by a distance much larger than their diameters and the force between them is F. So two identical spheres A and B carry equal charge. So we have two spheres A and B. It carries equal charges. They are separated by a distance much larger than their diameters. So the important point here is their separation is very much higher than their diameters. So a third identical conducting sphere C is uncharged. So these two spheres are charged. So let us assume that Q is the charge on each sphere, A and B. But the third sphere, it is also identical because its dimensions, its diameter is same as that of A and B. A third identical conducting sphere C is uncharged. So we have the situation now, it is we have two spheres A and B. Actually all these spheres are identical. A and B are charged. Let us assume that Q is the charge and their separation is very much higher than their diameters. So we have another sphere C which is identical to A and B. Now what we are doing is sphere C is first touched to A. So what they are doing is sphere C is first touched to A and so sphere C is first touched to A, then to B. So first touched to A and then to B and then removed. You got it? I am reading that sentence once again. Sphere C is first touched to A, then to B and then removed. As a result, the force between A and B would be equal to. So if this process is done, after that the force between A and B would be, so initially they are telling the force between these two spheres is F. So after this process, the process is C is first touched to A and then touched to B and then removed. After this process, what should be the force? So the options are here. I will read it. Once again, I am reading the question. Two identical conducting spheres, A and B carry equal charge. They are separated by a distance much larger than their diameters and the force between them is capital F. A third identical conducting sphere C is uncharged. Sphere C is first touched to A, then to B and then removed. As a result, the force between A and B would be equal to, the options are 3F by 4, F by 2, 3F by 8, F. So this is a question asked in JEE mains 2018. So here we have two identical spheres A and B, they carry equal charges Q and Q. The force between them is, if both the charges are plus, there will be repulsive force. Whatever may be the, so we are not bothered about those things. They are telling the force between them is capital F. Now only we are the third sphere C, which is identical, we are touching the sphere A, then it is removed. After that again the sphere C is touching the sphere B and then it is removed. So what's the process we are doing? First I am explaining the question once again. We have two spheres A and B. The charge is on each sphere is Q. Their separation is very much higher than their diameters. The force between them is F. After that, the process we are doing is, in the question they are telling, there is an identical sphere C. We are touching the sphere A, then removed. And this C, again this sphere, we are touching the sphere B and again it is removed. So after this process, if F is the, beginning the force it was F, then after this process, what should be the force between A and B? That's the question. So they are telling 3F by 4, F by 2, 3F by 8 and F. The force will be same. So all these options, I am not, the four options they are telling which is the correct answer. So before doing the question, let me tell you the principle behind this question. So one important point, related to conducting spheres and all, previously we discussed, that is very important. I am repeating. Anyway, that point is not coming into this question. Anyway, I am explaining it. When charge is given to a conductor, charge resides over the surface. When charge is given to a conductor, charge resides over the surface, but it behaves as if it is at the center. That's one important point, related to conductors, spherical conductors. From there only we defined electrostatic shielding and all. Okay. Another important property is, if two identical spheres, for example, the first sphere is having a charge Q and we are bringing another sphere that is not charged or uncharged sphere B identical to A, they are touching each other, the charge will be equally distributed between these two spheres. Very important. You got it? So we have a sphere A. So it is of having charge Q. I am bringing another identical sphere B in contact with A. Then the charge will be equally, the B is uncharged. So uncharged B, we are in contact with, it is in contact with A. Then the important point is the charge will be equally distributed between these two spheres. Then the charge on each sphere will be Q by 2 and Q by 2. Is it clear? So once again I am repeating that point. You have a sphere A which is of charge Q, another uncharged sphere B. We are bringing in contact with A. Then the charge will be equally shared and it is of Q by 2 each. Now we will come to the question. So first, these two spheres A and B, so they are having charge Q and the force is F between them. I am bringing the sphere C. So at that time, so what will happen when they are in contact? First C is in contact with A. At that time, this Q will be equally distributed. So the charge in A becomes Q by 2. Charge in C becomes Q by 2. So that's what happens once C is in contact with A. After that, C is removed. Now this C is in contact with B. So at that time, C is having a charge Q by 2. And B is having the charge Q. And again this total amount of charge will be equally shared between B and C. So if they are sharing these two charges Q by 2 and this Q, at that time what will happen? So this is the charge. So the first C is having Q by 2, B is having Q, that is Q by 2 plus Q. That total charge will be equally shared, by 2. So the charge on B becomes 3Q by 4, and this also at that time it becomes 3Q by 4. You understood? So once again I am explaining. Beginning, A is having charge Q, B is also having charge Q, C is not having any charge. So the force between these two charges is F. I am bringing C in contact with A. So by our by the principle, that principle says the charge will be equally shared between the spheres. So the initial force, you can the first equation you can write it here. Before contact, the initials that I am explaining here once again. So you know the equation by Coulomb's law. The force between two charges is 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 q1 q2 by r square. So here 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 is k. So we are taking it as k for then it will be easy for us to solve this. So k into q square by r square. Let the distance is r. We are assuming it. So before that, in the first case, when A and B are nearer, if the distance is r, this is the first equation. F is equal to kq square by r square. Now we are bringing C in contact with Q. So we told the charge will be equally shared. So this Q will be equally shared between A and C. So Q by 2, Q by 2. Now what I am doing, this C is in contact with B. So at that time, the total charge in these two spheres are Q and Q by 2. So those two charges will be again equally shared. So Q by 2 plus Q divided by 2. That is 2 LCM 2Q, that is 3Q by 2, the whole divided by 2, it is 3Q by 4. This is 3Q by 2, the whole divided by 2. When you multiply with reciprocal, you will get 3Q by 4. So 3Q by 4 is the charge on each sphere when these two charges are equally shared. So the charge on C becomes 3Q by 4. Charge on B becomes 3Q by 4. Now we are not thinking of C. Again they are asking, after this process, what's the force between A and B? That's the question. So again we have to calculate the force between A and B. We use the formula from Coulomb's law, 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 q1 q2 by r square. 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 we will take it as k. So k q1 q2 by r square. So k into q1 is q by 2, q2 is 3q by 4, the whole divided by r square. Then it would be k into, this is 3 by 8. So 3 by 8, 2 into 4, 8, 3 by 8, k q square by r square. K q square by r square is F. So it is 3 by 8 F. Then after this process, the new force F dash, we are taking it as F dash, will be 3 by 8 F. So the option C is the correct answer. 3 by 8 F. So you understood this. So this is a question asked in 2018 JEE mains. So here once again I am, the point you have to remember here is in this context. So when two spheres are in contact, when two conducting spheres are in contact, they share the charges equally. For example, that principle only we are using here. So So you understood this. So once again I am explaining, when A and B are two spheres separated by a distance q, r, they are not telling that r and all, we are assuming it. So they are having charge q each, so they have a force F. After that we are bringing another sphere C. When it is in contact with A, that charge q will be equally shared. So beginning it will get q by 2 and this also will get q by 2. Then this q by 2 and here it is q in the beginning. That is again equally shared. At that time these two spheres will get 3q by 4. Then we will calculate the force. So the initial force is kq square by r square. So the final force, the second case, in the second case the force becomes 3 by 8 F. So this is, these type of questions, if you analyze, it's very easy. So these exams are not very complex. You can easily do it. So you need, what I have to tell you is, you need an in-depth study, not on the surface. Understand the concepts and get to do the concepts well. So and more hard work and more dedication. So then these exams, the JEE exams, NEET exams, common entrance tests, these exams are very easy. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.